Hi everyone, Lead Assassin here. Over the last week, we finally got some news on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, there aren't many games out there that really hold the notoriety or the prestige of a Final Fantasy VII. I've said many times on this channel that Final Fantasy VII is kind of the game that took me on the path to having gaming as a hobby, because I played that game right around the age limit where a lot of people my age normally stop playing games. I believe I was in like 5th or 6th grade, and I know a lot of people I knew were starting to kind of get off that, and that's around the time when I found Final Fantasy VII. And I've said before on this channel that it is a very big game, looking back on all the games I've played, because of the impact it's had. And I know a lot of people hold that game in very high regards for a very big amount of reasons. But last week we received a trailer finally, and I'll be honest, at first I was floored. There's English voice acting, actual gameplay of walking around the map, actual gameplay of combat. Now, of course, this 2-minute trailer did not show too much in the way of, exploration, and a lot of people were already going, "Oh my God, Corridor 7," because what some of the areas looked like. And to be fair, in the opening section of Midgard, it is pretty damn linear. But a lot of things were also said about the combat system. You look at the combat system, and it looked to be something like a Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy 15 type combat system. After going on Reddit, I noticed a lot of people dissected the combat, took screenshots of the interface, the UI, and it almost seems like it actually might still be turn-based. If you look under the HP bar, there is a seemingly ATB bar. Underneath everyone's names is a giant white bar. To the right of their HP is a limit break bar, like there always was. And on the little menu to the left, with the commands, there's attack, magic, item, and defend. Which defend's a weird option to have during a real-time battle game. More like a Star Ocean or like Kingdom Hearts. Instead of being just like a shoulder button, like a square or triangle or something, having it as an actual command to go down to is very awkward and clunky. Now, of course, this is a long time before the game comes out, so this could all just be prototype stuff. We've had many times where we've seen Final Fantasy battle systems change, but it doesn't look as scary, and might actually be a little bit more of a turn-based style game than it looks. It could just be the attack button, which was grayed out during some parts of the battles too, might just be a very fancy attack. You hit attack and it just looks fancier than the normal 1/. So there's a lot we don't know, and a lot of things were seen and said, and first impressions were had, and people were scared about some of the things, excited about others. And I was definitely more on the excited end of that, because I like JRPGs. There's not a lot you could do with JRPGs that I won't enjoy. I'll be honest, I liked all kinds, whether it be more action-styled combat of Star Ocean, the Tales of series, or more of turn-based, like the classic Final Fantasies, Lost Odyssey, Persona. I like all kinds. I'm not very hard to please, and I've always loved the genre. So there's not much they could do with the combat that I think I would hate overall. But then Sunday, Square released their press release from the Sony experience. And when that happened, they created quite an uproar, because there's a little piece they added into that press release, a little tiny sentence that everyone is blowing up about. Something that they should have known would have been a big enough deal to address at the conference. And that is that it would be a series of releases. Now, people are saying that episodic content, and you hear episodic content, and you're like, oh my God, this is going to become like Life is Strange. They saw how much that worked and how profitable that was. Oh God, FF7 Remake's becoming Life is Strange, or becoming episodic content like that. And to be honest, hearing that and seeing that was very discouraging. That was probably the one thing they should have clarified the most at the conference, because it is doing nothing but hurting fans' faith in them. Whatever good they had by showing that trailer, any good done by that trailer has just been completely blown out of the water by a lot of people. And to be honest, it makes actually a little more sense as to why we saw English voice acting and all this already. Because that means they're doing it piece by piece. So instead of worrying about the whole frame of the game, they're only working to get from A to B so they could pick up from B to C at a later date, but have A to B done in time for, initial launch. Like I said, I was very disappointed to hear this. I don't know a Final Fantasy fan who isn't disappointed to hear this, because immediately you hear this and you think, we're going to be swindled for money. I'm not a big fan of Telltale and those kind of things, because in the end, you end up paying more than $60 for, I wouldn't personally don't believe to be more than $60 worth of content. And hearing 7 is going to be an FFVII remake makes you think, oh shit, what are we going to do? Pay $20-$30 a release? Have like 4 or 5 releases? No, that sounds awful. However, Square has come back a little bit and released the idea of each one of these episodes will be the length of a full game. That there will be some things cut out from the original and some new things added. And now that I have some time to digest this episodic idea, I'll still say I'm not happy with it. And I'm actually shocked to say I want to see more on this before I can even say I'm going to purchase it. 7 Remake to me would be instant, like, here, take all my money. Now it's kind of like a show me what we're getting first before I give you my money. But 7 is a giant undertaking. And when they announced this, I was very shocked, because for this to be done in time for the release date they want, the release window of the 20-year anniversary, they had to be working on this for a while. And they haven't. So it makes sense that they would not be able to get this done in time for the window. And honestly, part of me is like, hey, then just delay the damn thing. But we also know it's Square. We've also been waiting for almost 10 years for 15. So we might never get 7 if we wait. The only way to me this can actually end up being decent is it's released like the discs, or somewhat close. 3-4 parts that give us the entire game. Because the original was released on 3 discs. And looking at how 7 is done, how the story, how the game is broken up, it could be broken up into the 3 parts, or even 4 parts, very well. That we can be given nice bulk content that's about 20, 25 hours long, or like 15 to 20 hours, I'd say, a pop. That would have good content, as long as it's made right, and it can be done very well. There's clear start and stop points in 7 that can be ended off, and this could be made and could go smoothly, now that I sit back and think about it. Am I worried about it? Yeah, who wouldn't be? If you're a fan, it doesn't look good, doesn't sound good on paper. But when you sit back and think about it, it could work fine. It's still not ideal. I'm still disappointed in it. And the pricing is definitely something I have to look at. But if they keep majority of things in there, I think it could still be a success. Also, I saw a Reddit article I'm going to link in the description below that is awesome, and I didn't see where they got this information from, but if it's true, adds to the story of Final Fantasy VII. It makes Advent children actually make a hell of a lot of sense. And if this is truly the story, and what I'm talking about here, going off track, is that when translated to English, parts of 7's story were not translated over for us, which is why some things don't make sense. And there's parts of the game that we don't understand because we didn't get the information. They didn't see it. How the guy put it? They thought it'd be too much of a convoluted, complicated story. for us. So they didn't translate it fully or correctly, because the way they translated it still kind of worked. I'm still kind of iffy on it, but if you want to go read this article, the story of this guy said was left out. I don't know if he played the Japanese version and that's how he knows, or what. Again, it could just be a fake article, but regardless, it's a good read, and the things this guy says makes a lot of sense. And if it is true, hey, that enhances the story, and I hope we get that extra stuff in 7 Remake. If not, and I'm just being taken for a good story, then you know what? Hell, it's a good read, and it actually makes 7 and Advent Children make a lot of sense. So regardless, it's a good read nonetheless. So I'll have that link in the description below. And I'm curious, what are you guys' thoughts on the 7 Remake now that you know that it's going to be an episodic remake, and now that you've seen some of the combat and kind of what you think the combat system is going to be like? Alright guys, I'll be back later this week with another commentary, and I'll talk to you guys later.